Welcome to We're the Harrises. We got superstar Chris Harris Jr. And, oh, by the way, he won a Super Bowl with me, Ryan Harris, one of your hosts. And then we have the superstar and current player, Shelby Harris. Boys, week 13 was nuts. We have the Broncos with a monumental overtime win, the Bills with a dominant performance. But we are going to start with the mayhem of the Browns versus the 49ers. Shelby Harris, the floor is yours. You and Jauan Jennings had a bit of offline communication, so you can say.
Well, you can say that. I think the biggest thing that happened from that is multiple people in that instance, had a couple issues with some of the things that he was saying. And for me, I don't care about trash talk. You can say whatever the hell you want to. You know what I mean? But usually, when you're inside the, those white lines, people's families, people's wives, people's children are off limits.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Most of the time, people will stray away from that. And I don't care. You can say whatever you want. But the minute you bring up a man's family, bring up a man's wife, bring up a man's kids, bring up any type of sexually explicit thing when it comes to a man's wife and family, we're going to have a problem. Because the way I look at that stuff is you only can say that on the football field because if I retaliate, I lose money.
Right.
If I do anything about that, my team gets punished. But if you would do that on the street, I'll smack the shit out of you. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth about it is if that was on the street, it would be people would handle it. And I think that's kind of the issue we have in the social media days is people aren't used to being smacked in the mouth. And I'm just saying, like, it's just some shit is just unacceptable to say when it comes to people's families. And like I said before, if that's how you got to get it, then fine. But then you got to deal with the repercussions that come with that. But it's just, like I said before, though, it's just you don't bring up people's families. You don't bring up people's kids. It's just something, it's like an unwritten rule in sports. We accept all the trash talk. But, leave people out, leave people's families and stuff out of it.
My first issue with that is that you got a receiver talking trash, and I can count in my 10-year NFL career, probably 3 receivers could back up what they were saying. And anytime a receiver's talking trash, I'm telling you, linemen get back to the huddle like, hey, man, stop that. I remember Ryan Clady said it to Brandon Marshall one time because he was getting Jerry Porter all worked up. And Ryan Clady's like, hey, man, you're not going against this guy. So just the premise, the fact that a receiver is talking trash, that alone is borderline unacceptable, especially to a defensive lineman, things like that. But any kind of sexual explicit comment about anybody's family is completely off limits. And let's be clear, there's a whole lot you can talk about in trash talk in the NFL, even more than college now. But you don't do that. I mean, that's egregious.
Right. And I mean, I was probably a big trash talker out there, but there's certain limits that you can't cross. And I definitely had teammates that crossed those limits, saying they would eat they want to eat their parents or eat a guy's children and things like that. We've had some X-rated stuff going on. I've been spitting the face out there. A lot of things have happened out there on the football field, but at the end of the day, I've always tried to keep my trash talking between receivers, quarterbacks, and maybe a little bit on the running backs. Right? If one bounces out, I hit him real good, then I might say something to him. But other than that, I never really went to the old lineman. Never really went. D line was on my team, so I co-sign when they talk their mess. But you just gotta try to keep it within the game. Don't try to get anything personal. I never took it that hard to make it that personal. I don't know, in a football aspect. But it's part of the NFL. Anything can happen out there. Anything can be said. We see guys getting spit on, punched in the nuts. All types of stuff is happening out there. And our job is to police it. I think Shelby's doing a good job as being a veteran in this league of trying to keep it clean out there on the field. And that's kind of how we kind of police it, right? Hey, if you do something like this, then the hands is like the next level. Mm-hmm. And that guy's always been a dirty guy. He's always been pretty much known as a blocker, a guy that does the dirty work for the 49ers. And usually those guys are the ones that piss everybody off, right? So I can understand what Shelby, how he felt out there. It happens. And that's why they separate us in different tunnels and bring us in different buses because they know it's going to be a fight right after the game, man.
Man, but that's also why, I was like, I can see why he got punched in the nuts. Because when you take it to that level, people will make it personal.
Yeah.
People will take it to that point and they will go attack you, punch you in the nuts. And that's why I even said, I'm surprised nobody punched them in the jaw yet, because people don't play about their families. People don't play about their kids. You know, and that's the one thing, like that's one line that people don't play about. So some people just you don't cross that line with some people. And my biggest thing I would say, I get it. I understand the trash talk. That's perfectly fine. But there's lines to this. We all are men here. Like we have to have a line to it, but you know, some people don't. And the biggest thing is this is like, I'm not holding any grudge. I just wanted to call that out right there. Like I want to call out, like I don't play that. Like that's not who I am and that's not what I stand for. And I'm gonna stand on like that was wrong. Like you need to chill that shit out. Like that's really more of what it is I just don't accept that type of stuff. And I don't accept that type of stuff from anyone even around me. Because we probably leave them out of that. They ain't got nothing to do with it. But also at that same time, one of my teammates is on the ground and just rolling around in pain, just got hurt. You can tell it's a serious injury. And then you come over here instantly trying to start stuff. It's just not a good look. You know, our guys on the ground and you over here trying to argue with us. Like, it's just, let us worry about our mans real quick. You know, and that's where you got to understand that there's lines to this. That's not the time or the place for something like that.
Well, and let's be clear, this is a receiver who has not gotten credit for making plays, right? So this is who
we can't even talk shit. He did catch a touchdown pass on us. And that's the worst thing. He caught a touchdown pass at the end of the game.
You know,
let's be honest about it. He did do something against us. He did catch a touchdown pass. Good for him. But no matter what, that type of stuff is unexcusable.
Well, and that's what happened. You behave like that gets lost in the headlines, right? Because that one touchdown doesn't amount to the amount of stuff that now his teammates are getting questions from his family. What'd he say? What's going to happen? And we all know now the book is out on Jennings. He's going to have to play 5 more games now, right? He's playing against. He's going to be playing against other NFL guys. And I can tell you right now, if I was on a defensive line squad and you knew that about him, hey, you better get your armor on and be ready. And now the fuse is going to get lit quick with that with Jennings. He says the wrong word, and it might be allowable trash talk, but now he's got no rope, right? He's going to get taken care of by the rest of the players in the NFL.
Yeah, it was funny, though. Your interview was definitely funny, man. I definitely got a good laugh at it. I think you went viral. I wouldn't be surprised if we see all the 49er fans in the chat, you know, talking mess.
He's a hoe, and I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts, because he says some things that you should not say to another man ever. But like, I don't respect it because you say that, then run behind your O-line. That's some real soft shit, and I want that known. I see exactly why they punched you in the nuts. I'm surprised nobody punched him in the jaw yet.
Ooh!
And I know a lot of that, of course, is losing the game, right? How do you think, you know, I think y'all lost because, you know, you killed yourself. You know, special teams.
100%.
Definitely let y'all down this week. But how do you think the team could bounce back from this going on forward?
For us, we really got to start playing complementary football again. We got to help every other phase out. We got to stop setting ourselves back. You know, we got to stop with the turnovers, and, you know, we got to be able to convert 4th and 1s. That got to be 100% success rate. Like, what type of message does that send to the defense when you stop them on 4th and 1? It's like, oh, yeah, we got them, boys. We're good all day. And like, so we have to, on offense, if we can convert those, it automatically it tells the defense that it's going to be a long day on the reverse side. So, you know, playing complementary football again, and like that was a big emphasis for us in the middle of the season, is trying to complement each other. And I think that's the biggest thing we need to do now is just complement each other on offense, run the ball, play action, do everything that's to Shadour's strengths right now. And then on defense, we're playing good, but we can always be better. You know, and that's the thing. The standard's the standard, but we can always be better than the standard. And we're going to keep going out there, and we got to go out there. And if we got to hold them to 0, we got to hold them to 0. We got to hold them. We're going to do whatever we need to do. And the special teams, we got to just stop setting ourselves back. Like, honestly, we just got to stop. We got to stop setting ourselves back, and we got to stop with these costly turnovers in our own territory, and we'll be fine. Because even midway through the third, at the end of the third, we still had a game against the 49ers, and we're going to have a formidable foe this week against the Titans. Like, you can't sit there and look at people's records and judge them and think that's who you're going to get. So we got another NFL team coming in here into Cleveland and Titans, and we got to go out there and dominate.
Well, one team that is dominating, let's move to second down. The Denver Broncos now move to 10-2 on the season with an overtime win with Nick Bonito batting down the football. Bo Nix playing, I think, fantastic. Yes, there's a little things he can clean up, and that's part of football. What'd you guys make of the Broncos' big win?
I thought it was a great win. A win on the road, Sunday night football in Washington D.C. You know it's going to be jumping up there, even though they haven't had the season they wanted. But it's still a huge game, and first place in the conference is at stake. Right, that bye that's at stake, and you know you got to handle business when you play teams like that. They're going to give you your best effort, and I think Bo went out there threw for 300 plus, made some plays with his legs. Seeing that Bo Nix is leading the league in passing outside of the pocket, right? That means he's creating some plays. You know, I love what he's doing. And this throw right here where he's falling down,
Wow.
touchdown to Cortland, that was an impact play right there.
Impressive, man.
Yeah, huge play. And those are the type of plays that you're going to need in the playoffs.
Yep.
Right? It can be inches away from his knee touching that ground, right? But you got to be able to make those throws and key big plays. The defense plays. I wouldn't say this is their best effort, but they did enough to be able to win the game. They won it on defense. Great. Of course, you know it's a 2-point conversion. What is Joseph going to do?
He gonna send it. He gonna send it every time.
He's gonna bring the house, man. That's what he did, and betting on his guys and Benito, great awareness to be able to get his hands up because that was a touchdown.
Tutty.
Right, threw up the best play. Great call by the wrist Commanders OC, but Benito saved the day, man. That was a great play.
Yeah, man. That Denver Bronco team to me showed resilience, showed grit. It wasn't pretty by any means at all. But what we saw though is Bo Nix found a way. Every time that touchdown pass, falling to the ground, like that right there just shows that they found a way. But the one thing we got to see though from the Broncos offense, it should not take until the last drive of the first half to get something going. Like
Right.
they should need to be more consistent. The run game needs to be more consistent. They need to do more of hitting the easy play. But guess what? They won. Who cares? Like at this point, all that stuff is fixable. I always hear all this stuff about, they're the worst, 2-loss team out there. Hey, guess what? And we're going to say this week after week after week. I'd rather be figuring this out with the record the Broncos have than trying to figure this out with the record the Browns have. You know what I mean? Like you'll be able to figure this out. You're still you're winning games. It's easier to figure things out where you're winning at least. And so the Broncos right there, I think, they played they did just enough. You know what I mean? Against we keep hearing about this idea that the Broncos keep running into teams not at 100%. But that's the NFL.
Everybody.
That's the NFL. It just so happens the Broncos have run it like a Houston. C.J. Stroud got hurt right away. And then you have, you're playing a Washington team without without Jaden Daniels. But guess what? They're not the only ones that had to do that. And they went out there and got the win. So no matter what anyone says, this is a quality win for this Bronco team. And it's just another step to the top. They're just stacking. They're stacking wins over and over again. And somebody has to come out there and beat them. But they haven't yet.
Well, and the big thing for me is it's not going to look pretty all the time. And you have to be willing to pay attention through mistakes. And that's exactly what the Broncos did on offense and defense. First of all, shout out to Bobby Wagner. I mean, a pick on a dig route on 3rd and 8. He just let the guy go in front of him at 6 yards. I mean, I wish we could illustrate to people how hard that is to do, to not bite on a route underneath because it's going behind you. But that was in the fourth quarter, right? That's a tough time for a turnover. Now, Bo Nix learned that, right? Now he knows how he's going to face, how linebackers are going to play him on down and distances, which you're going to see that in the playoffs, right? They're going to bait you into, I'm coming back here and I'm intercepting the ball. But you have to be willing to continue to perform. And I don't care if you make a mistake, if you have a penalty, and be honest, if we were on the same team, y'all wouldn't care either. What happens next? That's all you can focus on. And for me, you had a defense that gave up some gains in the run game. Marcus Mariota was trying to change the narrative of his career against the Broncos, and it didn't happen. So you have players who are making mistakes, willing to play through it, and willing to perform at a high level after mistakes. That's how you win in life and football.
It's still not right though. Watching Von Miller play against the Broncos, it just doesn't feel right, man. Just like those days where I saw Chris in the Chargers uniform
Yeah, come
playing
on,
against the
Chris.
Broncos. That just doesn't feel right, and that's okay. And I know a lot of Broncos country feels the same way, and that Von is extremely loved, but it never feel right watching Von play against the Broncos. You know what I mean? And that's just something that will never sit right with me.
Yeah, and I thought he played a hell of a game. He brought a lot of pressure whenever he did get in. He did cause some disruption. Bo Nix definitely knew where he was.
Yes.
Because he was definitely eyeing Von. Just watching that game, he had a great awareness, and I think Von is the reason why he threw that pick, right? If you watch it and you see him, he was bringing that pressure up the middle. I really don't think Bo Nix even seen Bobby Wagner, right? I don't think he's seen him at all, and that was because that pressure up front. But so he still was able to make an impact somehow in the game, and still, show that he can get some pass rushing in. But hopefully he can get that 5 sacks, getting that top 10. That's gonna be hard to get. But Nick Bonito, man, being the first DN or first rusher to have post double-digit sacks since Von and Simon Fletcher. I thought Elvis Dumerville was on there.
I thought he was on there too. Yeah, but the first time since 2014 when Vaughn did it. I mean, and look, that's hard to do because the minute you get one season of double-digit sacks, now coordinators are sending running backs. You're chipping 100%. With the tight end. It is 10 times more difficult to do it a second time once you've proven to the NFL you can do it. And the thing too, what I can tell you is you're right, Chris. He probably heard Vaughn because Vaughn's the only defensive end that I played against that will talk during the rush. He'll be like, "I'm coming to get you," or he'll laugh, "Ha ha!" And you're like, "Is he laughing in the play?" Right? So, no question, Bo Nix heard Vaughn, if not felt him, and got rid of that football. You're right, Chris.
Yeah, and it was just a good overall game. If you're a fan of football, that was a great game. It definitely kept me up. But let's get to the third down, man. We're getting the third down. The divisional races are getting very tight from all around the board. Now I've seen the Bears at number 1 in the NFC right now, right? But let's go to the AFC North. Let's go to Shelby's division, right? We know the AFC West is pretty much sold up. Broncos looking like they got that on lock. AFC South is still, we think the Colts is going to lock that up, right? But the AFC North, right, it's still open.
Wide
right?
open.
The Bengals could
Wide
come back.
open.
Even y'all, Shelby, if y'all win the rest out, y'all still have a chance to make it, right? Which is crazy. So how do y'all feel? Who do y'all think is going to come out on top in the AFC North?
The Cleveland Browns, baby. The Cleveland Browns. Oh, yeah. You already know. We're going to make a run. We're going to make a run. And it's going to be the last 5 games of the year. We're going to make a run. We're going to put our best foot forward. And obviously, for us to make it and for us to win this division, a lot of stuff is going to have to happen in our favor. But I believe in those guys in the locker room. And yeah, this may sound biased because it is. Because it 100% is.
You get to be biased right now.
I'm going to be because I believe in those guys in that locker room. I believe in everything that that we stand for. So we're gonna go out there and we're gonna put our best foot forward the next 5 games. And 2 of those games are against division foes. We got to go play the Bengals and we got to play the Steelers again. The Steelers are already in a little bit of, disarray right now with quarterback and receivers and tight ends not on the same page. And Aaron Rodgers calling out receivers saying they're not, not knowing the calls. Jonnu Smith don't know the call. And so this is it's a perfect situation for us because nobody really expects anything from us. So we can go out there and really surprise some folks and really go out there and put our best foot forward. So I'm going to believe in us. I'm going to believe in the Cleveland Browns. But if I had to say a second team, do not forget about those Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is healthy. And that's all I got to say about that. And it should put fear into your bones. Lamar Jackson's healthy, and the Ravens are still tied for first place. So that's scary. And that's the team, I guess, other than the Cleveland Browns, I'd have to worry about for the AFC North.
Look, we've seen this movie before, though. I mean, and I'm talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, who went on a tear last year at the end of the season. Look, that's a team, the Bengals, to me, they get that spot. They win the AFC North. That's the team that you got to beat in the playoffs. That's going to be very, very hard. Now, if the Ravens don't win the division, they have to win their first playoff game. I understand that there's been injury to Lamar Jackson. That can't be the excuse 4 years in a row, right? That wasn't the excuse for why you only rushed Derrick Henry. I think it was 11 times in the AFC Championship game. Like there are problems in Baltimore that, to be honest, Lamar Jackson's covering up. So to me, that's the team under the most pressure is the Ravens. But to me, I think you're going to see the Bengals just keep climbing up there unless you do something about it, Shelby.
I think the Steelers, they have to make the playoffs. I think Tomlin has to make it.
Yeah.
They're already calling for his job to fire Mike Tomlin. Aaron Rodgers, this is it, right? I don't think you'll be a backup role or you'll be retired. If you don't make the playoffs, it's kind of how it goes in the NFL. The Ravens.
So Chris,
Yeah.
are you saying if the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make the playoffs, that Mike Tomlin's going to be gone?
Yeah, I believe so. I think they're pretty much fed up with them. The whole stadium was cheering for it in the game versus the Bengals. So and this has been up for question the past 3 years, right? Even though he's at least made the playoffs, but they haven't had a playoff win, and that's been the main issue. So I can see him. He's on the hot seat. The Ravens now. I think I'm kind of against you on this one, Ryan. I think Lamar Jackson isn't playing as well right now. And maybe he is trying to do too much and cover up for the rest of the guys, but they're not running the football well. They're not running with consistency. Derrick Henry's only averaging like 15 to 10 carries a game. They're not riding him like that over there. They don't have a true number one receiver. Zay Flowers is very inconsistent. I do like Likely. He's a good tight end. But right now, man, if I'm saying I'm scared, if I was going to choose a team, I might have to go with the Bengals. Even though I hate their defense, they have the best offense out there.
Oh, Joe Burrow, baby.
They got the best offense with T. Higgins and Chase. They can go on a tear right now. So if I would have to choose one, I would have to say the Bengals right now.
It needs to be said, though, that this Pittsburgh Steelers team a month and a half ago was in a real good position to win the AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson was hurt. The Browns were struggling. Joe Burrow was hurt. They did nothing to help themselves. And I think that's a bigger story that no one's really talking about, is how the Steelers did nothing to extend their lead in the AFC North, and now they are tied with the Baltimore Ravens for first.
Well, it's the second year in a row that the Steelers had success but weren't able to finish, right? And I love Mike Tomlin. Playing for him, guys, you would love him. He is so consistent. He's so honest with players. I was really lucky to play for him. And we can see when when the fans are starting to be unhappy, the organization's kind of getting the same result. People are calling for his job. Now, what's interesting to me, how come they're not doing that to Harbaugh at the Ravens? I don't know. What could be the difference between Harbaugh and Coach Tomlin, right? So at the end of the day, you're still at the top of this division. If you're the Steelers, you have a chance to win. It's kind of like with the Philadelphia Eagles. Say what you want about how they're losing. They're in the lead of their division by 2 games. All right. They're going to be just fine. Okay. But the Steelers need to prove that as well. But to me, it's inconsistent how you have a team in the Steelers that people are calling for Mike Tomlin's job, but nobody's calling for Harbaugh's job. I don't get that.
Yeah, you've been harping on it for a little bit now, saying, watch out for that Baltimore job. Harbaugh has been struggling a little bit. And you're right, though, because when you even had an MVP in Lamar Jackson, when you've had all these great years of Lamar, and then you have to add Derrick Henry to the mix, they have nothing to show for it. But, man, I always say the grass isn't always greener, and I always try to tell a lot. I tell people that all the time, and it's always based off of different situations. But this is, I think, especially one. The grass is not always greener. Sometimes it's better just to love yours and then to want to go out there and chase somebody else's. So, I get it. We're in a production-based business, and they're not producing. But sometimes, just making it to the playoffs is good enough, because you switch coaches and you try to change the whole regime. Now you're talking about number 1 picks every year. So I always say the grass is not always greener.
I can see Mike Tomlin coaching for the Browns next year. I can see that.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
Right? Because I think Stefanski's on by time, right? I think he's gone, right? He's getting ready to
I love
definitely
Kevin.
get an exit. Shelby can't comment. Don't comment
I
on
love
that.
Kevin. I love Kevin. No, Kevin. I will always tell you, like, Kevin Stefanski is one of my favorite people. He always will be. No, like, no matter like where I'm at or anything like that. Kevin Stefanski added 3 years onto my career. He took me in, and he's let me be myself. He's really, I'm all for Kevin Stefanski. I always will be. So
What
you'll
happens?
never hear me say anything negative about that man.
Give us an example, something that happened that we didn't see, whether it's like, is he eating breakfast with y'all? I mean, Chris, Gary Kubiak used to sit with us and do different stuff, but what's Kevin Stefanski do that endears his players to him?
Well, like for me, and just being a parent, like me and Kevin talk a lot about our families. And I think one of the big reasons why I really love the Browns organization in the first place is when, after I left Seattle that year, I had a visit. They set up a visit to come check out Cleveland and the Browns. And then the first thing they asked was like, does your wife want to come? And for me, that meant I've never heard of really anyone's wives joining them on a free agent visit.
No,
You know what I mean? So I was like, for me, that was like a big deal. And just Kevin's always made me feel like family. And he's always made me feel like I'm not crazy. He's like, Kevin's a very good listener. And I always feel like I can always go and talk to him if I need to. If it's about family, if it's about football, I always just feel like Kev has always been someone who I could go to, and I appreciate that because a lot of coaches and a lot of head coaches, they don't have that approachability. Like everyone will talk about how the door is always open, but is it really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the door's open, but it's like there's cobwebs over there. Like nobody's been through that door in a long time. So it's just, I always will appreciate Kevin just because of all the times that we've spent together and just who he is as a person and just how important and how loved he's made my family feel being a Cleveland Brown.
Well, on the opposite side of that, let's go to fourth down because we have Lane Kiffin's ass leaving a playoff team to go to LSU. Don't ever talk about players transferring, not playing in the bowl games. Lane Kiffin made sure those conversations are over forever. Guys, what do you make about Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU?
I love it. I think it's a smart decision. I think when you're recruiting, and when I was a kid, I would never say, "Hey, I dreamed of going to Ole Miss." Right? Kids
Don't
are not
bury them
dreaming
like
to go to
that.
Ole Miss.
But you're
Right?
not
These
wrong.
kids want to go to LSU, Alabama, Ohio State,
Notre Dame.
Go
ahead and say
Notre
it.
Dame. Let's
There
throw
we
them
go.
in there.
Yep.
Hopefully, Kansas Jayhawks. You know what I mean?
Wisconsin, Illinois State.
They want to go there. So this is a smart decision by him. I understand that the ramifications of his team being a college football playoff team. I think it was reported that he did ask if he could stay and coach during this time.
Hell no.
That would never happen. That's
Hell
recruiting.
no.
That's your prime recruiting
Tulane
time.
is allowed it.
That's
Tulane is allowed it.
That's like breaking
Well, of
off
course,
an
Tulane would
engagement
have
saying,
allowed
yeah, Tulane did. Yeah, but that's like breaking off an engagement and saying, can we still go on the honeymoon? Hell no, man. You can't do that. Come on, man.
He asked, right? So that can kind of cover him up from a little backlash. But I mean, it's a no-brainer. Going to LSU, they got their campus down there is amazing. The atmosphere there is just always top notch. Death Valley, kids dream about going to Louisiana. The pipeline is on another level. Oh, Mississippi pipeline or Louisiana pipeline? We're gonna go with Louisiana all day. When they talk about dogs, athletes, right? So it's just smart all the way around, and you can't pass up that money, man. 7 years, $91 million, 72 buyout if he did get fired. So it's just a win-win financially for him, and he's going to a place that's going to have more dogs, and he can't now, like you said. What can kids do now?
Yeah. Everything. The answer is everything.
He can bring that whole squad right to the purple and gold.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for me if I'm him.
Man, it's just the tough part, I guess, is not Lane Kiffin's fault that the hiring period is right now during right before the college football playoff. Hey, you offer me 7 years, $90 million. I'm instantly thinking that's money for my grandkids. That's and that's on top of everything he's made already. That's generational. Kids that don't even know who the hell he is will be like, "Thanks, great grandpa. This is why I'm good today." Like, you know, so like no matter what people say, man, you have to make that jump. Like, and then like if you make a $5 million pay raise, you got to make that jump, man. And I get it. Like you want to stay and coach, and that's a commendable thing. You know, you want to lead your guys to the last, to their last game, but man, it's over. You left. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just take that check and go on the Baton Rouge and enjoy that purple and gold. But like, the biggest thing though is just what's getting lost in this is it just sucks for the kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's getting lost in this whole thing. Is it sucks for the kids because they earned all of this and nobody's talking about them. They earned every step of the way of they beat teams in the SEC. They positioned themselves to go to the college football playoff. They did that. Not Lane Kiffin. They did that. And now they lose their coach, and now everyone's automatically assuming they're going to lose. It's over for them. Nobody has any faith in Ole Miss anymore without Lane Kiffin, and that's not right because they did that. They had Lane Kiffin did not do that. That was them. So I believe in Ole Miss, but granted, Chris is right. Nobody really dreams of going to Ole Miss unless you're from Mississippi.
Look.
Nobody really dreams of going to Ole Miss. This is not the blind side. This is not the blind side. This is not what's happening here. People don't look I don't even know why people like to go to Alabama. Tuscaloosa is the most random town in the world. But once again, though, Lane Kiffin did what he's supposed to do. He leveled up. He secured the bag for his family. So it's really not that much you can be mad about. But I am sad for those kids though because they deserve better, but I'm gonna be rooting for them the whole way, though.
Yeah, I can't believe it, but I disagree vehemently with both of you. The biggest issue for me with Lane Kiffin, you have a coach who has a chance to win a national championship, saying I'm going to leave. If a player did that, if a star quarterback was on a playoff team with a legitimate chance to win a national championship, perhaps change the dreams of young children everywhere who would want to go to Ole Miss, we would destroy that player in the media. That player would be persona non grata. But a coach does it and we're okay? Come on, fellas. I mean, the kids that were lied to, and you and I, all the three of us know, half of those kids aren't coming with him to LSU.
No, not even half of them. Like a fourth of them are.
So he's going to cut half his team. Those guys got to stay in Mississippi with who wants that job. So, I mean, I just think this is incredibly terrible on many levels. I think LSU could have done a far better job of holding the news. And Lane Kiffin, you could be a month away from announcing. So I just think if a player did this, people would lose their minds. And I don't care that he's getting a lot of money. You don't do this to players who you sat in their living room and told their parents you were going to coach them to a national championship, and then you got the chance and you left? Come on, man. That's cowardice.
Well, if a player did do it, that means we got to chill out on them too. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess that's where the media bias kind of comes into. We give coaches passes on stuff like this, but then we double down on players when they decide to make a business decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then we see a situation, and Chris knows it, like a Jake Butt situation, where you're supposed to be a first-round tight end. You mess up your knee and you never realized that potential that you were supposed to have there, and you lost out on that earning potential. So I'm just saying, just like Ryan said, though, I do agree. If we're going to let this be okay for the coaches, I don't want to hear any of that for the players.
Ever.
Right. That's why they should always be player first, right? If you're a player there, you got to treat this like the NFL, right? As a professional football player, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you got to make sure that you're covering yourself with the NIL and your scholarship and to be able to make the properly moves. Because a lot of these kids, they sign 18-month deals. They can't even transfer anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you got to make sure you have the right situation set in for you. And then the NCAA, you have a transfer portal period in the end of December in January. Right. So then if guys don't want to play there, what are they doing anyways? Hitting the transfer portal. It's right before the college football playoffs. So you have a coaching change era in this time period and player change. So what can they do? They got to find a way to push it back somehow.
Yes.
But it's hard to push it back because guess when they enroll and got to start school?
You got to do that's winter semester.
You got winter semester. So I don't know how they're going to be able to change this, but we need some change. right? We're gonna have issues like this every year as long as the college football is set up this way. We got to figure out if we can move the transfer portal back sometime and still allow the kid to enroll in school.
Yeah.
Just give them some type of different ideas of which they can do. But this is a major issue. It's beyond Lane Kiffin, right? It's really an NCAA issue.
Derelict.
But it is sad for the kids, definitely for the kids. And I got some boys over there. I got a kid went to my school in high school, Luke Hans. Another kid I work with, been working with him since he's a kid, Jalen Braxton, that starts safety over there. So I kind of see the effects from it, and they did love Lane Kiffin. They came to Ole Miss because of Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
So this situation does suck. But if we're talking about Lane Kiffin in this situation, you got to take that deal. You got to take it.
Well, here's my question, though. Does Lane Kiffin want to win? When he leaves a team that has a chance to win a championship, can he look people in the eye and say, I want to win?
No, I want to get paid. That's what you got to be honest about. I want to get the number one thing for me as a head coach is I want to get paid and financially taken care of for what I did. So like we got to stop acting like that's the number one thing for them is a national championship because it's not. Because
Clearly
like
not.
you said though, if it was, he'd still be at Ole Miss right now.
Right. Well, that's this week's episode of The Harrises. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, all the things. We hope you have a happy holidays, and we'll be here with you through it with the best football talk in the nation.